Thank you very much, and I would like to thank the panelists and also the Comrade Madin Ngor for organizing these forums. In fact, my intervention is, I think the panelists already gave their definition of what is federalism all about. As a part of the working group on federalism.
Can you please start with your name and then you go on?
Okay, my name is Gadwik Lampoch. I was a member of parliament as well. So we start the working group, I think it started early in Nairobi on the 24th and 25th of April 2018. It started as a brainstorming of how they can make a constitutional buildings on federalism in South Sudan. There are many people who are involved. There was international community involvement, there was regional involvement, there was ideas, African unions, and also IGAD was part of that process. Out of that meetings, then they came up with the idea that they have to form a working group that will work to research on different types of federalism that will existing in the world, and fit now which part of federalism that will reflect the character of people of South Sudan, that will accommodate the diversity of people of South Sudan. As a result, people concluded by conducting another meeting here in Juba on the 14th and 15th of August, and come up with this operationalization of working group, and they form some committees. One of the committee is the steering committee, then the think tank group which will involve the international experts and also local experts, and then the dissemination teams. So I'm bringing this background, say that also people should know what actually the Minister of Federal Affairs achieved within that period until they reach this level. Now we are at the levels of developing the blueprints. So coming to the question of what type of federalism that we have. Do we have now the decentralized system? Does it address the issue of federation or not? I would say that the current decentralized systems is more centralized than decentralized, because there are a lot of accumulations of powers at the national levels, and then there's no powers at the state and local government. And that's why 2011, when we were working on this current constitution of transitional constitution of 2011, we, after 42 members of the parliament came up with the idea that let us implement the federal system in South Sudan. The federation or the federal system is devolution of powers and resources to the lower levels, that is to the state and local government, or what they call constituent units. So this is what we want, that the government should be small at the national levels, expanded at lower levels, so that people deliver services. And when we talk of federalism now, when we talk of power to divide powers between the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. Our Constitution 2011 put it clear and also for principles, guiding principle for these levels should refer to each other. One of them is that each level should not encroach the other into other level competencies, which is not happening. They are deeply encroaching to the levels. So this does not mean a federal system. Federal system should be autonomous. The state should be given more powers, more resources to deliver services to the people at grassroots level. So that's why we talk physical federation. And when we talk of physical federalism, is about the collection, distribution, and allocation of resources shared between the national and the local levels. So now we are starting point of how we can adopt the best system of federal system that will suit the people of South Sudan.
Thank you very much. You pass it next to you, Honorable Mary. Stand up, introduce yourself, and you can say something briefly.
Thank you, Dolco Company. My name is Mary Jarvasiak, member of the Transitional National Legislative Assembly. Actually, I would like to go back to what one of the panelists said about federalism being a popular demand of South Sudanese people. And truly so, it is now enshrined in the agreement, the revitalized one of 2018. So we have mentioned something about Ethiopia, on whose federal state is based on ethnic backgrounds. Nigeria instead uses population and the area. In the context of South Sudan, my question would be, because we are here to actually share ideas, what would be the best criteria to use in drawing up the boundaries of the states in South Sudan? Never mind the number of states now, but when we come to do that, what should we do? Should we go about it ethnically, or we use the population and the area? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Moderator. My name is Wanibu Dieri, former Undersecretary for Planning, Minister of Finance. I think things have been discussed. Federalism, generally, in principle, we accepted it, because since 2015, we put it in the agreement. And we went on creating Ministry of Federal Affairs. The question is, why is it still remaining in Juba? Simply because there is no political will. What was agreed in the agreement is a political, deceit to the South Sudanese, so that they don't discuss about it. Otherwise, we should have proceeded actually to decentralize or take resources to the states. As he put it, only 9% of the budget remains in Juba, while 91% of the population stays in the states. What is this paradox all about? So we need to respect the laws we have. Even the federal system that we are talking of, if we come to constitutional review, they will refuse to put it in the Constitution. I think we should be serious after this. If this is the root cause of our problem here, we got to be fair, we need to be transparent to ourselves, so that we really know what we are doing. What we are quarreling here is only Juba. The people in the rural area, they don't know their rights. Frankly speaking, they are enjoying their cattle, they are making agriculture, but all the positions we are quarreling here, they don't know them. But if we take them schools, health centers, water, they will realize that there is a government with them.
Honorable Wani, let me put this question to you, because you were former Undersecretary of Finance, where the national wealth is being divided, and how bad is it as we speak? What was your experience with it in terms of how the national cake is distributed? You were doling out a lot of checks, and to whom?
Well, when we usually plan for a budget is an estimate of the resources we expect to mobilize within this country. The resources we have been depending on is only the resources of the oil. And then the non-oil revenue, which institutions, different institutions in this country collect. Unfortunately, we hardly collect these resources because our people also don't accept to send the money to the treasury. As a result, whatever we have estimated, as like now we have 208 billion. This 208 billion will not be realized because we have refused to send this money wholly as collected to the treasury. That is the difficulties we have.
So the national cake is majority consumed at the central level, yes or no?
Somewhat in a way. Even in the state even don't make what they collect available.
Thank you very much.
So we are defaulting.
Please pass it to this side. And very quickly, because time is of the essence.
Thank you very much. My name is Henry Omaya Kolowin. I'm a member of Parliament and also a member of Parliamentary Service Commission. Really, it's a very important topic. What happens with the Southerners is that they are good in putting phrases and words, but to come to practicality, we have a problem. Even the constitution we have now, there are so many things that could have been implemented. And it was said before that we are very poor in implementing laws. As we talk of federalism today, it is a system and is being practiced all over the world. You have two comparative systems. Either you are a unitary state or a federal state. And if you are a federal state, it is a power sharing between levels of government, which is a better system which we are all wanting. Now, my intervention here is that as we talk today, we are talking of creating states, but we don't do the preliminary work. Things like even in many places when you design something, you must draw a system. Now, we are creating states without boundaries. We are creating a state without even criteria. And in a federal system, this thing would have to be prepared and put in the Constitution, and you create laws to implement them. Today is a challenge on us. We say we are a decentralized system. Of course, even in a federal state, it is decentralized. But what do you mean by decentralized? If all the technocrats are here in Juba, and you create a state, and you don't send them to the state, what have you done? So we need a proper system, and we need proper laws so that we implement them. Everybody has talked of that. These states we are creating, we are actually not helping them because we maintain the resources here. So I hope in a federal state there will be proper division of income or resources and also of powers that are to be given.
You are raising an important point, and let me check whether that is what you are saying, that in a truly federal system, some of the states would not actually survive on their own.
Well, there must be a criteria.
Yes.
And of course, we want to create states, but they must be based on criteria and viability.
And what is the important criteria that must be met?
The important criteria always is that they will be able to manage themselves. They will be able to have financial capacity, because they will not only depend on the government, they must also raise revenues and then supplement it, how we divide the cake.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very quickly, please, and then we will go to the questions. From the next opportunities, only strictly questions and one question if possible.
Thank you, Honorable Thorne Simon, the former Minister of Labor and Public Service, Jonglei State. First of all, I want to say it, a way of federal, it's self-rule. And there is a more three important in meaning of federal. Division of the powers to the low level, from national to the low level, counties level, three level of the government. And federal itself, it means respect of the government, rule of law, and respect of diversities in the country. In South Sudan, we have been fighting of the powers and what, and we did not thinking about the rule of law, and we did not thinking about the governance. This is a right time for us to thinking about the governance, as Honorable Luka Manoja said before. So I'm agree with him 100%. The luck right now to our citizen is a rule of law, division of the resources. It's no matter of the criteria to the state to be divided. You can divide the state according to the criteria of the number of the population. And I disagree with the Honorable Minister. He said, my colleague, Honorable, he said some state cannot be survived. No, we have a rich country. We have a good soil, fertile soil. We have many resources. So it's not just oil money. We have many other resources down, and still we not utilize them until.
We have a lot of resources, and if we have 1,000 states, we cannot sustain.
No matter of the number of states, just for us to utilize our resources, divide them well, respect rule of law and diversities in South Sudan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now time for just quick questions. Maybe last opportunity, very quickly.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the panel, and I want to say thank you for Honorable Minister of Federal Affairs. It's really, he delegated his time for these issues. My name is Moses Kongrut. I'm a chairman of South Sudan Civil Society Activist Movement and member of the working group on federalism. It is my honor again to introduce myself as the Minister of Rural Development of Ladjor State. It took me a time to think about what will be the argument today. And the current situation now is about if we implement these agreements, the next period will be implementation of the federal system. And there are challenges now. What not allow us to implement the agreements is a number of states. My questions to Honorable Stephen Parr, because they hold the issue of the states very strongly. And I learned that, and I know it, that when the war broke 2013, it was a power struggle within the party. The state was not the issues. Both two sides, they rise up now to bring states, increasing the states. And there's now calling back now to go back to the 10 states. Honorable Stephen, if we go back to 10 states now, we will not have to go back to war, and the power issues now divided now will be resolved.
You're asking for a compromise.
Yeah.
Because there's been a deadlock over the talk over the states.
That is my issues. My another question go to the Commission for Constitutional Review. Yes, we talk about, and we know that federal system cannot work without the law, and any government cannot work without law. But who's violate the law? Where the law violated? Is it the people violate the law, or the system itself, or the government, or the leaders that are the one who violate the law? And the law.
And what are the consequences, and what should be the consequences?
What should be the reason on
Thank
that?
you very much. Thank you very much. Very quickly and telegraphically, just say something. Very quickly.
Very quick, yes. Thank you. My name is Abraham Kuch. I work for Jibu Center for Peace and Development. And I have two questions. One specifically to Dr. Luka Manoja Tombe. I think the idea of us coming here as you say, was for us to exactly know what kind of federalism that we need. I think it would not be good to shy away from this. We know the strife for federalism in South Sudan has been long, but we've never actually say what kind of federalism do we know. It's not all about governance, as you said. Powers are also important to federalism. And so we must clearly come out with what kind of federalism we want. Does it have to look like the caucus of federalism that Equatoria was saying about? Does it have to look like what the Young Council of Elders are demanding? So the more we define the federalism that we want, the better we move forward. The next question goes to Honorable Ayan. She talks about maybe we should concentrate on enhancing the capacity of the institutions that are there. But if that is the case, why did it take us such a long time without strengthening our institutions so that at this point in time we are still talking about strengthening the capacity? So it means that we are not really able to strengthen our capacity. With regards to Honorable Stephen,
thank you very much.
It's just a quick question, 1 minute please. Constitutionally, I agree with you. You said federalism must be constitutionally granted. And if that's so, why can't we leave the issue of federalism when we are actually developing the constitutional process rather than being first of its kind right now?
Thank you very much.
I'd like to dismiss the statement from Mading before that they went to universities for such consultations about federalism and students failed. They did not fail, maybe did not go to the concerned school that can address such issues. The School of Law is ready to debate on such issues. We can debate in moot court. Then this federalism, which every layman can discuss about it. My questions go direct to last speaker, that decentralized system has totally failed to deliver service to the people of South Sudan. As such, the other system of governance should come in, which is federalism. Now, how different is this federalism we are talking about today, which can the same be implemented by the same politician that we had? I wish the change could be the current politicians of South Sudan who are delivering service to the people of South Sudan in any system. Any system can work for South Sudan, but not any politicians can work for South Sudan. How different is federalism of today that SPLM-IO have incorporated during the time of agreement, differently to decentralized system, is my question.
Thank you very much, and please don't answer your own question. You just ask a question and leave it to the panelists. Very quickly.
Oh, thank you very much. By name of Mike Nial, a law student at the University of Juba. The question that I would really want to ask is actually a distinction between the federalism and the decentralized system that we are using currently. First of all, based on my knowledge, I know that we are using a political kind of decentralization in South Sudan as enshrined by the Constitution. Now, what I don't really understand is that what is that we're going to achieve that we don't achieve now with the current decentralized or the current political decentralized system that we are using. Another thing is, I'm directing my question to LLG, Richard K. Muller. I tuned into your last press conference that you made with iRadio. I was tuning in. You really talk much about the merits of the federalism, but you didn't really talk about the demerits because it also has demerit. So would you really tell us, so what are those demerits on federal system? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And
thank you. My name is Biara Yaka Jack. I'm a student of law in the University of Juba. I really want to agree with Maulana Deng Byong. He said the decentralized system that we are having is a lesser type. He didn't say that, but I'm the one saying it's a lesser type of federalism. And the problem, we are not being shown the failures of this current system that we are having. And even a blind man can see that the problem with our system is not the system itself, but it is leaders not implementing what the Constitution says. So if the problem is implementation of what the Constitution says, why can't we focus on how we can get our citizens to respect whatever the Constitution says? It seems the problem is not the system, but the problem is getting our people to respect the law.
It's about the sleeping majority. So when you stand up, they will be able to respect
So
the
my
law.
question comes here. So if that is the problem, why can the ministry focus its energy at getting our leaders to be accountable? And the second question is, it is popularly said that federalism is a double-edged sword. It can either lead to unity of the people, or it can break up the country. An example is Arabs were denying us a federal government because they knew if they gave us that, we were going to break off. In our situation, like in Kokora system of 1982, my mother is illiterate today because she had to be told she's going to her village. She was a primary student here, but after that, she was told that everyone is going back to their village. This is the understanding of federalism outside there.
Thank you very much. Last chance to Doctor, very briefly, and then we'll bring it to the panel because time is out.
All right, thank you to the panelists and the Dalco media. There is a huge literature on federal system or federation. It's the same thing. It's not different. And the simplest definition is a constitutional division of powers between two tiers, at least two tiers of government, the central and local government, right? It's constitutional division. So when we're talking about the federal system here, the first step to begin with is a constitutional process. How do we divide power? Who is in control of health? Who is in control of education? Who is in control of foreign policy, of defense? That's what federalism means. So you have subjects, you have headings that are allocated to a certain level of government. That's one thing. And each country has its own unique dynamics that determine what federalism actually means and how many units of federal system they should have. In Ethiopia and Nigeria, for example, is largely ethnic. In India, it is ethno-religious, right? And in Canada, it is cultural. You have the French side, you have the Anglo-Saxon side having different units of administration. That's how they look at it. That is in settler countries like the United States, where people from different ethnic groups and nations sit randomly, what matters is, population, viability. And the question of viability normally, say, for example, in Canada, where you and I have lived, Mading, it's not necessarily the number. You have Ontario being 14 million people, and you have Prince Edward Island being 140,000 people. So what matters, it depends on what we are looking at. In certain contexts, it is economic efficiency, it is management of conflict, it is economic justice, it is cultural. So it is several factors. So if we are going to have a federal system, we are going to have a robust discussion about what we are looking for in a federal system.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I have to stop you because we are out of time, but we can always follow up next time.
Thank you.
I'm going to bring it back to the panel where we conclude. You answer some of the views. You just be very telegraphic as it moves, and it will close. I'm sorry, but that's all the time we have.